just that it's just what I had to do to Frank. Just...
I know.
When you think about classic television, you think about Perry Mason. And when you think about Perry Mason, you think about Della Street, the loyal, intelligent, impeccably dressed secretary who stood by attorney Perry Mason through 271 episodes and 30 made-for-TV movies. Barbara Hale brought Della Street to life for nearly 40 years, and for most fans, she was the only Della Street. Nobody else could have done it better. But behind that composed professional persona was a woman with a fascinating story, one filled with love, struggle, sacrifice, and secrets that most people never knew about until near the end of her remarkable 94-year life.
We were getting married, and we told the studio as we left here to go back home, to my home to get married, they said, "You don't owe a mortgage anymore, honey." They took the mortgage off, so that was the biggest thrill, I think, of my life.
I am 10%, not a penny more.
Betty, all I care about is...
Well, I know it isn't much, but of course it's not finished yet. And next year I'll do one in oil. Every year of my life I'll do a better and better picture of the most beautiful, wonderful man in the whole world.
Most people remember Barbara Hale as Della Street, the unflappable secretary from Perry Mason. And yeah, that role defined her career. 271 episodes over 9 seasons, plus another 30 TV movies that kept her working into the 1990s. But the real story, the one that emerges from her own words and the memories of people who knew her, is about so much more than a TV character. So let's rewind. Because to understand what Barbara was really saying in those final years, we need to go back to where it all started. Before the courtrooms, the Emmy Awards, before she became America's favorite secretary, Barbara Hale was just a girl from Illinois who wanted to draw. Barbara Hale was born on April 18, 1922 in DeKalb, Illinois. Her dad, Luther Ezra Hale, was a landscape gardener. Her mom, Wilma, sold produce. They weren't wealthy, but they were steady, the kind of family that valued hard work and didn't make a big fuss about things. Barbara had one sister, Juanita, and the two girls grew up in a household that was pretty typical for small-town America in the 1920s. When Barbara was about 5, the family moved to Rockford, Illinois. That's where she spent most of her childhood. She graduated from Rockford High School in 1940, and by then, she'd already figured out what she wanted to do with her life. She wanted to be a commercial artist, not an actress, an artist. So she enrolled at the Chicago Academy of Fine Arts, planning to study art and drawing. The problem was money. To pay for her education, she started modeling, just a way to make ends meet while she focused on her real passion. And here's where fate stepped in. One day, she was standing at a bus stop in front of the Drake Hotel in Chicago, wearing a striking red coat. A representative from the Chicago Models Bureau spotted her and asked if she'd be interested in modeling professionally. She said yes. That modeling gig led to another, and before long, Barbara was working regularly. She even modeled for a comic strip called Ramblin' Bill. It was steady work, but it still wasn't what she thought her life would be. Then, in 1943, everything changed. She moved to Hollywood. Now, moving to Hollywood in 1943 didn't guarantee anything. Thousands of young women showed up every year hoping to make it in the movies. Most of them didn't. But Barbara had something. Call it timing, call it luck, call it talent. Whatever it was, it worked. Barbara signed with RKO Radio Pictures, one of the major studios at the time. Her first screen appearance was in a film called Gildersleeve's Bad Day in 1943. She wasn't credited, she had one line. But she was in a movie, and that was a start. For the next few years, she kept grinding, small roles, mostly uncredited, just trying to get noticed. Then she landed her first credited role in Higher and Higher.
Thought Miss Drake was a member of the household staff. I apologize.
The staff accepts your apology.
Is there something wrong with your head?
Oh, no. You see, I'm just learning to walk.
It's a delayed case.
We're getting Miss Drake ready for her debut next week at the Butler's Ball.
Oh, that's a coincidence. I'm singing at the Butler's Ball. Our chambermaid is asking.
Oh, you mean Margaret? Oh, how very nice.
Which happened to be Frank Sinatra's fourth film. She even sang with him in the movie. Years later, she told the Los Angeles Times, "Isn't that fun? I never had been so scared in my life, but he's been a very dear friend ever since." By 1946, she got her first starring role in Lady Luck, opposite Robert Young. That was a big deal. She was finally being taken seriously as a leading lady. Over the next decade, she appeared in a bunch of films: The Window, Jolson Sings Again, The Jackpot with James Stewart, Lorna Doone, 1951, A Lion is in the Streets, 1953, with James Cagney. She was working steadily, building a solid career. But here's the thing about Hollywood in the 1950s. Even if you were successful, it didn't mean you were happy. Barbara was juggling a lot, and by the mid-1950s, she was starting to think about stepping back. She had a family by then, and the demands of being a working actress and a present mother were starting to pull her in different directions. Which brings us to one of the most important parts of Barbara's life, the part that, in her own words, mattered more than any role she ever played. In 1945, Barbara was filming a Western called West of the Pecos. She met a fellow actor named Bill Williams, real name Herman August Wilhelm Katt. They clicked. She even talked the director into giving Bill a couple of extra scenes so he could stick around longer during the shoot. Killy said, "I'll give him one scene at the beginning of the shoot and another at the end of the picture so Bill can stay the whole time," she later recalled. That was so nice of him. They got married on June 22, 1946, and here's the remarkable part. They stayed married for 46 years, until Bill died in 1992. That's almost unheard of in Hollywood. They had 3 kids together, Jody, Juanita, and William Katt, who became an actor himself, best known for starring in The Greatest American Hero in the 1980s. Barbara was always clear about her priorities. In a 1993 interview with the Chicago Tribune, she said, "Between assignments, I really work at being a mother. We do all sorts of crazy things together, things the kids pick out, and we really have fun." She also admitted she had help, a housekeeper, a nurse, her mother when needed. She wasn't trying to be a superhero. She was trying to be present. And here's something she said that really stuck with people. "When we started Perry Mason, it was the beginning of women not working at home. I liked that she was not married. My husband, Bill, didn't have to see me married to another man, and our children didn't have to see me mothering other children." That's the kind of practical wisdom Barbara brought to everything. She wasn't trying to prove a point or make a statement. She was just figuring out how to live a life that made sense for her and her family. By the mid-1950s, Barbara had built a nice career in movies, but she was also exhausted. She was seriously considering retirement when the phone rang with an offer that would change everything. In 1957, Barbara was approached about playing Della Street, the secretary to defense attorney Perry Mason, in a new TV series. The role wasn't glamorous. Della was efficient, loyal, and quietly capable, not the kind of character that usually gets a lot of attention. But Barbara saw something in it. She also knew the guy who was going to play Perry Mason, Raymond Burr. They'd both been contract players at RKO back in the day, and they got along well. That familiarity made the decision easier. She took the role, and Perry Mason premiered on CBS on September 21, 1957. It ran for 9 seasons, ending in 1966 with a total of 271 episodes. Barbara appeared in all but 8 of them, and even in those episodes, she was still listed in the credits, a practice known as credit only. The show was a massive hit, and Della Street became iconic. She was one of television's first single professional working women, and Barbara played her with intelligence, humor, and grace. In 1959, she won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series. But here's what Barbara said about Della that really captures the character. She was informed and very observant of everything that went on. That was my challenge as an actress, to be a necessary part of the office without being too aggressive. Della was quietly overpowering. She knew when to speak and when to keep her mouth closed. That could have been Barbara describing herself.
You know, Jeff, we've had good times. We've had a few very bad times, you know. But if you had just all sunshine and not a few clouds, right, how would you appreciate the sun? It sounds kind of silly, but...
The relationship between Barbara and Raymond Burr became one of the most enduring friendships in Hollywood. And it's in their connection that we start to see what Barbara valued most: loyalty, kindness, and showing up for the people you care about. Raymond Burr was a complicated guy. He kept his personal life intensely private, and for good reason. He was gay at a time when that could destroy a career. He invented a fake biography for himself, claiming he'd been married 3 times and had a son who died. It was all a cover to protect his real relationship with his partner, Robert Benavides, which lasted 35 years. Barbara knew the truth. She was one of the few people Burr trusted with it, and she never said a word publicly until after he died. After Burr's death in 1993, she told the Washington Post, "He was my hero. He was my brother. He was family." She also said, "Raymond used to tell me, if you're not good, I'll knock that angel off your shoulder." But mostly, she remembered him as someone who protected everyone around him. He was like a great sequoia tree or redwood, and everyone leaned upon him. He shaded and protected everybody. In another interview, she said, "He was truly an amazing man. A gentleman with the strength of an ox and the humor of a leprechaun. A great lover of mankind and the arts, of seeing that other people were taken care of, were not harmed in any way." They worked together for decades, first on Perry Mason, then on Ironside in 1971, and finally in the Perry Mason TV movies that started in 1985. In 1993, Barbara told a story about their long friendship. Raymond always said, "When we started, I was holding your children, and now we're holding your grandchildren." She paused, then added, "Last February." 13, I reminded him we'd been working together for 50 years. I said, "It's today," and he said, "No, it was yesterday." He was right. It was the 12th of February. After Burr died in 1993, Barbara kept working. She appeared in 4 more Perry Mason movies, with Hal Holbrook stepping in as the lead attorney. The final one, A Perry Mason Mystery, The Case of the Jealous Jokester, aired in 1995. That was her last acting role. Well, except for a biographical documentary about Burr that aired in 2000. But the real story of Barbara's later years wasn't about work. It was about reflection. After Bill Williams died in 1992, Barbara became a widow after 46 years of marriage. She stayed close to her kids and grandchildren, 6 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren by the time she passed. She also became a follower of the Baha'i faith, though she didn't talk about it much publicly. She lived quietly in Sherman Oaks, California. She didn't do a lot of interviews, but when she did, she was thoughtful. She talked about gratitude, about luck, about the people who'd mattered most to her. "I've had an angel on my shoulder all my life," she once said. In 1993, after Burr died, she received so many letters and calls that 2 months later, she told the Washington Post she was still overwhelmed. "I have 2 gals helping me, and both my daughters, trying to answer phones and answer the mail." That tells you something about Barbara. She cared about the people who cared about her. She didn't take her fans for granted. On January 26, 2017, Barbara Hale died at her home in Sherman Oaks. The cause was complications from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. She was 94 years old. She was also a bladder cancer survivor, which not a lot of people knew about. Her son William posted that tribute on Facebook, and it went everywhere. But it wasn't just the words that mattered, it was what they revealed. "We're all a little lost without her," he wrote, "but we have extraordinary stories and memories to take with us for the rest of our lives." So what was Barbara Hale's secret? What was the message she left behind? It's this: she figured out how to balance ambition with contentment. She worked hard, but she didn't let work consume her. She valued loyalty and kindness over fame. She protected the people she loved, even when it meant keeping quiet about things the public would have been fascinated by. She showed up. She was present. In an era when Hollywood chewed people up and spit them out, Barbara built a life that lasted, a marriage that lasted, friendships that lasted, a career that brought her joy instead of bitterness. She wasn't flashy about it. She didn't write a tell-all book or go on talk shows to dish dirt. She just lived her life, raised her kids, loved her husband, and stayed loyal to her friends. And in the end, that quiet grace, that refusal to be anything other than herself, became her legacy. Her note, the one she left in interviews, in the memories of her son and daughters, in the way she treated everyone from co-stars to crew members, says this: "You don't have to be loud to matter. You don't have to chase every opportunity. Sometimes, the most radical thing you can do is just be a good person." She was gracious. She was kind. She was silly. She was always fun to be with. And she was, as her son said, most of all a treasure as a friend and mother. If you found Barbara's story inspiring, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of Hollywood's most fascinating people. Drop a comment below. What's the most important lesson you think Barbara Hale's life teaches us? Let's keep the conversation going.